I do think it's worth saying, like, quick step back. Pelosi, because she's been around for a while, so we just sort of take it as fait accompli that she's always in power. She's been doing this for so long. No one really asks where she came from. And this part I think is interesting and worth mentioning real fast. So Pelosi has been in politics literally forever, right?
Literally forever.
She was born in Baltimore.
She was born a Fermion.
She was born in Baltimore. She went to Notre Dame. She studied political science at Trinity College after that. She interned for a senator, right? So her internship in college was for a fucking senator. She moved to California at that point and worked for the Democratic Party. And she took a lot of what I would call non-elected positions, elected internally for the committee, but not elected by the people.
This was all during Reconstruction, right?
This was all during the 70s. So she had a series of positions in the California Democratic Party. And she moved her way up. She got to the point where she was the chair of the DNC, she was working to try to become the chair of the DNC and lost. But she had worked to the point where she was pretty good friends with the California 5th District Congressman Phil Burton and his wife. And she had worked with them a pretty decent amount. Phil Burton died in 1983. His wife took over for him because we have a very democratic process where you turn things over to your spouse. And his spouse, Sala, ran it for 3 years. And then in 1986, Sala became sick as well. She decided not to run, and she handpicked Pelosi, guaranteeing her the support of every one of their machine Democratic operatives. And this is an incredibly Democratic district. This is heart of San Francisco, one of the most Democratic districts in the country. So Sala died, turned it over to Pelosi. Pelosi won the special election to succeed her, easily defeating the other Republican, narrowly beat a San Francisco supervisor, but then beat the Republican handily. That wasn't a problem. Has never once been challenged closely since. That was in 1987. I was born a year before that, and I'm in my goddamn 30s. She has not had a challenger in 30 fucking years. She has not gone to a debate for most of that. So the reason you need to know this is, one, it's not a democratic process because she was handed the incumbency sort of boost as being designated and getting the machine. And two, people keep using this fucking data point to say why she's great. And this data point is that she has contributed the most to members of Congress and campaign funds. Part of the reason is she's the fucking speaker, or she was for a long time. She's the leader of the caucus. She should be contributing more. The other part is she literally does not have to run to win. She doesn't have to spend campaign funds. She just fucking wins every time. Her closest challenge she's ever gotten was she won with 80% of the vote. Nancy fucking Pelosi. So this woman hasn't faced a real challenge since the goddamn 80s. She has not had to do a debate in 30 years. She is not connected to the people. So there's that point. The second bit that I'll get to is, in her defense, I will give her a few things. One, she has consistently defended women's reproductive rights, even when it's not been popular among the Democrats.
What a low fucking bar. Oh,
it is. But respect. She consistently defends it, and I will give it to that. The other one, and this is kind of a big deal, she voted against the Iraq War. Fucking respect for that. That is a genuinely good thing. I appreciate that.
Yeah, her and Barbara Lee and like 3 others.
Honestly, it was like 4 or 5 fucking people. So her being one of them is a big deal. So good on you, Pelosi. That's pretty much the end of the positives.
I'd just like to point out just one more positive is that rule where if you die, you can still run, your spouse can take over, resulted in us having a dead-ass pimp winning an election in Nevada. So you take the good with the bad. You know what? We get this cool-ass, dead-ass pimp, but we also get Nancy Pelosi.
Think about how many people's dream it is to die.
It's a real thing, by the way, guys.
To die with Ron Jeremy.
An actual dead pimp died in Nevada and won as
Well,
the
live
Republican.
pimp died. I mean, in fairness, he was live at the time.
Excuse me. A pimp died in Nevada as a Republican candidate and won.
A pimp died in Nevada. You actually owe me money now because I trademarked that as the name of my hip hop album.
And he was with Ron Jeremy and God, who was it? Flavor Flav? Was that the other guy who was there?
It has to be.
I mean, I just presume
Vegas.
this just makes sense. It's like but how often do you think that's happened to those two? Like, this is not the first time
They're pretty old, so at this point, a few times.
Like Ron Jeremy has definitely walked into a room and then noticed someone in that room is now dead, like 25 times minimum.
Damn, this is a dark ass life for Ron Jeremy.
Oh, Jesus.
You got that's a weird, it's a take you think is universal, but it's definitely not. It
started so well. He was doing porn, he was popular, then he got fat. Now everybody's dying.
Yeah, why does that affect other people's mortality, though?
I'm just saying, considering the parties he's at, considering what is going on at the parties he's at.
You don't know anything about maybe he's just at home playing Overwatch with the rest of us. He's like, boy, I hope no one thinks I'm showing up around
Ron
the dead
Jeremy
guy tonight.
Is one of the first people to basically live stream his life, like, effectively, just because he is such an attention whore and just goes around constantly trying to get on film.
Yeah, now he's the best fucking Dragoon in Final Fantasy 14, and he still live streams. And I respect him for that more than anything. That's right, more than anything.
So dead pimps are the sort of people that can be elected these days because that's the democratic system we live in. Pelosi got originally elected because she was friends with a spouse who took over for her sitting congressman, and she basically bequeathed the position to her because, again, very democratic system we've got here. She has been in that position since 87. She has run the House 2 terms, from the end of Bush through the beginning of Obama's term. So 2 years at the end of the Bush's term, 2 years at the beginning of Obama's term, she ran the House as Speaker. She's the first female Speaker ever elected, which is great. It has been since 2010 since they've had power. It has been 8 fucking years. Democrats haven't done real well in those 8 years, so it's hard to see how exactly she's doing a great job. And an article came out today that was amazing to me because it explicitly talks about what she isn't doing well. And what she isn't doing well is growing the young Democrats.
No. She definitely isn't. Cory Booker is still somehow viable, which is stretching the definition of viable to its absolute breaking point. The definition of viable should get a Medal of Honor, which I guess we're just giving those out, for somehow sustaining the pressure that fucking Cory Booker's candidacy is putting on it.
I mean, this article was great to me. It was in The Atlantic. It was great because I've wondered for a while, and I just assumed this was some weird Gen X quirk. I've wondered for a while why we are stuck with boomers and all of the sort of Gen X generation has no position of power. Even on the Republican side, they do. To the point where, and as a quick comparison note for you, Pelosi's trying to take Speaker again, but the Republicans have their leaders already for their GOP minority Congress, and it's Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise. They were both freshmen.
Damn, so close on that second one, huh?
They were both freshmen when Pelosi was originally Speaker, right? So the Republicans are growing their youngish. It's hard to call Steve Scalise youngish. Kevin McCarthy is youngish politicians into roles, and the Democrats aren't. And it turns out that it's because, and this is going to shock literally any millennial in a position in any corporation or government position or academia at all. The boomers are locking all of the young people out. They are promising, Pelosi and the others are promising that they'll give them positions of power, they'll grow them over time, they'll help them grow their career, and then doing nothing. And so all of the young members are fleeing. And people actually connected this to Beto and said, part of the reason he ran for Senate is because he couldn't fucking do anything in the House anymore. He's this young guy. He has ambitions. He wants to grow his position in the party. And Pelosi and the other older Democrats shut that shit down.